Guys, I'm Ron Hubbard from Atlas Survival Shelters, and yes, we're in the bomb Nado. I want to introduce you to my 2018 Atlas Survival Shelter catalog, where I'm going to introduce to you the new line of built into the home shelters called the Nato series. Now imagine this, you're building your new house. You want a secret room with a secret entrance. I have the shelter for you and for only under $20,000, including the Nbc Air Filtration System. We've all fantasized about having a secret room, but you know, the shelters I make today, they don't just have to be for fallout or for tornadoes. You can turn the shelter into the room that you want, a gun room, a wine cellar, a secret office, a room where you play with your model trains, whatever you want to do. Having a secret room in a house is very cool. So sit back and enjoy as I personally walk you through my new 2018 catalog.
When selecting a shelter, keep in mind, the people you're buying a shelter for is not just you, but it's for them. Well, let's open up my catalog and go over it. I actually have 6 models in the Nato series to cover. So as we open the catalog to page 2 and 3, we have the one which is my personal favorite. This one is called Wine Nado. Now you will also see it called Safe Cellar and some other advertisements. It's the same bunker. But this particular shelter is built into the concrete foundation of the house. So you have to plan for this shelter ahead of time. If you don't plan for it, you can still install one in the backyard, but you're not going to have the entrance from inside the house, which makes it very unique. For you guys who have already built a house and you want this shelter still, you can put it in the backyard, but you will need to purchase one of our heavy-duty bulletproof hatches to cover the entrance. But on page 2 there, we illustrate it where the stairs are actually hidden underneath the kitchen counter. So this is the way it works. The kitchen counter slides back, the cabinet door opens on the end, and it reveals a set of stairs that you walk down into it. At the bottom of the stairs is a door. This is typically a marine grade gas tight door, but those of you who wish to turn this into a gun room, as you can see, we have a Fort Knox door on there, so you can turn it into the ultimate secret hidden underground gun room for you gun enthusiasts. Other than that, the shelter can be, as I said, a gun room. It can be converted into a wine cellar that's climate controlled, or the shelter can be used for tornadoes or as a fallout shelter as it was originally designed. The Wine Nado comes in 5 standard sizes. Custom sizes are available, but we need 3 to 6 months to get your project on our schedule. You also need to add the shelter onto your building plans for permitting. We do have engineers that have already done the engineering that can be provided to you for a nominal cost. As we turn our catalog to page 4 and 5, we come into what is called the bomb Nado. The bomb Nado is built into the concrete foundation as well. Now, this particular shelter has a trap door on the surface. So you open it up and you go down a ladder with non-skid treads and you enter into a shelter that actually has 2 feet of storage underneath the floor, which is very nice. You have a place to put all your food, supplies, whatever it may be. You've got 2 foot of storage underneath the floor. The bomb Nado is a very versatile shelter. We're going to show you some illustrations here, what you can do with the right imagination. You can turn it into an incredible gun room with a mahogany finish. You can turn it into an incredible movie theater with its great acoustics. You can turn it into a hidden guest bedroom. You can turn it into a party room. You can turn it into your hobby and craft room and go down there and make your model airplanes and your little railroad train sets or do whatever you want. And of course, you could always turn it into your own private, personal secret office. You can do anything you want with your shelter. It's your personal, secret little room that you've always fantasized about since you were a little kid when you built yourself that custom house that you were going to have a secret room with a secret passage. This is it. And the good thing about the Nato series, they start under $20,000. So the price is not going to break the bank. So let's turn the page to page 6 and 7 and go into the Gar Nado. Now, the Gar Nado is very popular as well. Now, the hatch on the GAR Nado is very similar to the hatch on the bomb Nado. The difference is the hatch has a gutter built into it to repel water that's brought into the garage. It's also designed to where you can drive and park a car on top of it. When ordering your shelter, always specify either aluminum diamond plate or 1/4-inch AR-500 bulletproof steel for your hatch. To enter the GAR Nado, you simply open the hatch, you go down a ladder with non-skid treads, you enter into the mudroom, you walk 8 feet, you come up to a gas-type marine-grade door, you open the door and enter the shelter. The GAR Nado and the Y Nado both have optional shower heads, so when ordering your shelter, specify whether you want a decontamination shower or not. Of all the shelters in the Nato series, the GAR Nado is the best engineered shelters of them all. Why? Because at the bottom of the stairs, you have a 90-degree turn to attenuate gamma radiation. And then you have to travel a certain amount of distance to reach what is called a gas-tight door. This gas-tight door will keep out carbon monoxide from fires on the exterior. So if your concern is strictly only fallout, this is the best shelter of the entire Nato series. Guys, I'm going to show you a copy of a 1960s Atlas bomb shelter brochure that actually has a copy of the certification from the Department of Defense Office of Civil Defense located in Battle Creek, Michigan, dated August 14, 1961, certifying the Atlas bomb shelter as worthy of withstanding the after effects of a nuclear bomb. History is very cool to see in person. This is an actual photograph of an Atlas bomb shelter being installed in the late 1950s. As you notice, there's not much difference between that design then and the GAR Nado design now. I'm going to turn the page to page 8 and 9 and talk about the Nato Safe. Now, the Nato Safe is a handicap-accessible walk-in tornado shelter / fallout shelter that you slide into the garage after the house is built. You bolt it down. As you've seen in Oklahoma, a lot of people have walk-in handicap-accessible tornado shelters. Well, this was designed on the principle of that, but people, because of the world we live in now, they are concerned about nuclear fallout. The Nato Safe also can be framed into the body of the house. If you're worried about getting a permit to do a shelter underground, there is no permit required to put the Nato Safe framed into the body of the house above the concrete slab. Then you have an airtight, armor-plated tornado shelter, panic room, and fallout room all built into one that can be hidden behind the walls of any home. So we have made it gas tight with the same door that we use on the other shelters, but we've added an Israeli-made Nbc Air Filtration System. In this illustration of the 8x10 3-man Nato Safe, you can see that it has a double folding bunk bed, a folding couch that turns out into a full-size bed that also folds up against the wall, a toilet, and a 55-gallon water barrel. This next image is of the 2-man 5-foot by 7-foot Nato pod. As you can tell, the beds are folded up against the wall. One thing about all the Nato series shelters, the beds fold up against the wall and the couches fold out into a full-size bed as well as fold up against the wall for storage. The red arrow is pointing to the emergency air hatch. All the Nato series have an emergency portage hole that allows air in case the front door gets blocked. This next illustration shows the 2-man 5x7 Nato pod with the beds folded down. And then in this final view, this is the end view of the 2-man 5-foot by 7-foot Nato pod. As you can tell, it doesn't take up much room and a very small footprint. People always ask me, where do you get your survival supplies? And I always reply, right here in Los Angeles at Major Surplus and Survival. It's like one-stop shopping for everything survival. So we're going to turn the page, and we're going to go to page 10 and 11. We're going to talk about the Nato pod and the Fire Nado. The Nato pod above-ground tornado shelter is our most practical shelter for a family of 4 or less. With welded-in seating on both sides of our cylindrical shape, you and your pets can find protection for tornadoes of EF5 strength, 250 mile-per-hour winds. This shelter is made of 3/16 steel with 2x5 entry door with 6 connection points to meet FEMA guidelines. The fire Nado was designed to go underneath the concrete slab of a new house being built. It was designed to protect your valuables from theft and from natural disasters. This shelter is not for human occupancy. For an additional cost, you can add a fire-rated door. I do not understand why anybody in California would build a house without a fire Nado with all the California wildfires going on, with a starting price of only $69.99. So turning the page to page 12 and 13, we get into the original Atlas survival shelter design. Guys, there's a bunch more cool bunkers to come in this video, but I just want to take a minute and give you all a message that's very important. Guys, who wants $1,000 in cash right now? The answer is you. I'm going to tell you how you can do it. Guys, I have a pile of cash to give away to YouTubers everywhere. All you have to do is refer someone to me who buys one of my Atlas underground bunkers, and you will receive $1,000 in cash. Just make sure the person who bought the shelter tells me that you referred me to them. Now, you all have social media. Put it out on your social media. If you share it with a friend and then that friend shares it, you will all share in that same $1,000. So look, guys, it doesn't cost you nothing. That's what social media is about. Tell everybody about the coolest bunkers you've ever seen at Atlas Survival Shelters and the Nado series, and let's get to work and let's all make some money together. Now back to our video. So turning the page to page 12 and 13, we get into the original Atlas survival shelter design. This is a galvanized culvert pipe that buries 10 feet underground. We've been making these for many, many years, and the United States military has been installing these things since World War II. All right, guys, I know you love the history. This is an actual black and white photograph that I have in my possession from Oak Ridge Laboratories. It was printed in July 1958. On the back, it says a volunteer group of 40 soldiers experienced no ill effects from 24 hours in a special underground shelter being tested by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. This is proof that you can be within a certain amount of miles from a nuclear bomb and survive a nuclear blast in a corrugated pipe shelter. Back in the 1950s, Oak Ridge Laboratories was doing all the testing in the Nevada desert, and they would actually bury these shelters underground, and they would get volunteers to go down in the bunker so they could test the effects of the nuclear bomb on the inhabitants of the shelter. So if you are not in a high water table, I highly recommend that you look at the culvert pipe. If you're in a high water table, you must do a watertight shelter, either round or square shaped. But always remember, round can go deeper, and the round typically has the underfloor storage. So you can store 55-gallon drums of food, water, whatever you want under the floor. A couple things keep in mind with the galvanized culvert shelter. The material is rated for 200 years. It can go up to 42 feet deep, and there's no echo inside a culvert shelter. There's a lot of positive things about a piece of culvert pipe buried underground, is why the U.S. military to this day still uses the galvanized culvert pipe. So if you have a massive amount of storage, you do want to try to do the round culvert shelter. And as you can tell, looking into our factory, we're building a lot of them right now. So as we turn the page to page 14 and 15, we get into the modular square fallout shelters. Now, the reason I say fallout shelters instead of bomb shelters, I want to explain to you the difference between a fallout shelter and a bomb shelter. A fallout shelter only needs to have 2 foot of concrete or 3 foot of earth to protect you from the alpha and beta radiation that's emitted from fallout and from the gamma radiation from the initial blast. A blast shelter or bomb shelter is designed to protect you from the initial blast. So that is the difference. So a bomb shelter that's buried very deep is better than a fallout shelter. So if you have a choice between a bomb shelter and a fallout shelter, you want to go with a deep bomb shelter because it's going to protect you both from the alpha, beta, and gamma radiation as well as protect you from the blast. But the modular fallout shelter can be made and built out to feel just like a house. As you can tell in this beautiful picture here, this particular customer turned it into their ultimate man cave with a fireplace, a wine cellar, a kitchen, couch, chairs. But behind the wall hidden there is the Nbc Air Filtration System, and behind that door in the back, bottom right-hand corner, is the escape tunnel where they have a lot of their supplies hidden. Now, this particular shelter comes in about 30 different models and sizes. So, hey guys, if you guys want to see a really good YouTube video, go to my Atlas Survival Shelter YouTube channel and put in Atlas 10x30 Safe Cellar and watch the video of this shelter getting installed. It's got over 1 million views. It's really good. So we're going to turn to page 16 and 17. I hope you guys are enjoying this personal tour of my catalog. We're almost done. So on page 16, we have the inflatable portable NBC protection system. The LSS-80 is a complete biological and chemical protection system designed for use at home or at the office. The LSS-80 provides a safe, protected space for a maximum of 6 persons for an extended period of time, and prices start at only $9,999. On page 17, we have the do-it-yourself shelter kits. Now, for you guys that can't get a bunker in the backyard, this is the shelter for you. You'll have to dig your own hole, pour your own slab, and build your own walls. We will send you a kit that includes steel I-beams, the ladder, the hatch, the air system, and everything you need to make your personal fallout shelter. And prices here start below $25,000. On page 18 and 19 are the types of air systems we use on our shelters. On page 18 is an Israeli-made air system that is specifically made for the Nato Safe. Now, if you ever visit Israel, every single apartment by law has a room that's about 10 feet by 10 feet with one of these air systems in it. When I studied in Israel, in Switzerland, one of the things that always stuck in my head was this air system in Israel, that it was mandatory that every apartment home and every house and dwelling there in Israel have a room with this particular air system in it. So I brought the air system back to the United States and I adapted it to my shelters. On page 19 is the Swiss-made air system that the military uses. This is the VA-150 that's shown in the catalog. This has 60 pounds of carbon, it has a HEPA filter, and this is approved by both the Swiss military and the U.S. military. This is a top-of-the-line NBC Air Filtration System. NBC stands for nuclear, biological, and chemical. The great thing about this air system that is if you lose your power, you can operate it by hand. As you can see in this picture right here, this girl's about 9 years old with a broken arm, and she can operate the air system with one hand. I say anybody from 106 to 6 years old can operate this air system. It's that easy. As we turn to the very last page, page 20, the back of the catalog, we just show you a picture of our new plant in Texas that's ready to open in 2018 and a couple pictures of the inside. Plus, we give you a menu of all the different types of shelters that we make. I hope you've enjoyed this personal review of the new 2018 NATO series catalog from Atlas Survival Shelters. Thank you. Guys, I'm Ron Hubbard again. Thanks for watching my video. Please share, like, and subscribe to the Atlas Survival Shelter YouTube channel. I want to tell you guys about a new channel that I have called Billy Bombproof. It's funny. You gotta watch it. And the first 10,000 subscribers get a free Ready Man survival card. It's worth like 15 bucks. It's totally cool. You carry it in your wallet, and just trust me, you'll want one of these. But on this new channel, I cover all the survival gear and gadgets that you would put into a bomb shelter. From solar generators to the food, to the ovens, to the air systems, to anything and everything you would need for bugging out, survival, whatever, when the SHTF, you know what I mean. But anyway, again, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it.